And then I turned around and went, whoa. Good morning, everybody. We are in Newhaven. It's December the 29th, and I'm in need of some exercise. We are down here for a couple of reasons. It's the wife's birthday, so we've come away, but we didn't see son number 2 for Christmas because he lives in Brighton. And Brighton's cooler than where we live, so he didn't want to come home. So we are going over to see him today to kind of have a Christmas and give him his presents. And I decided I would walk, and then I looked at the map and it's 12 miles. So I don't know what I've let myself in for. It's freezing, absolutely freezing today, which isn't true because it's about 5 degrees, but it's really cold. So I've just come down to the marina, so I'm going to turn the camera around and just kind of show you where we are, and then I'm going to head off. So if we start here, we've got the marina, and kind of I'm going to do this thing. I've seen people do this. Up there is the fort, so I'm going to head up to the fort first. Over here we've got the Dieppe ferry. I think it's the Dieppe ferry. We were really surprised. We stayed in the less than Premier Inn last night, and when we went to bed, when we went to our room, it was quite quiet. Got up this morning, car park packed, restaurant packed. Nothing in the restaurant, but that's a whole different story. And I think everybody has come ready to be on that to go to France for the new year. There's the lifeboat station. That's the way I've come. Railway station is just over there. And as I say, we're heading that way. So here we are. I've just seen some people go in. It's obviously open. It's about, 9:30 at the moment. I've walked about a mile. This is rather disappointing. You've come to a historic fort, There's a beautiful beach over there. And you've got this stunning entrance and sort of the outer fort walls. Now, I'm not going to go in the fort because I've got 12 miles to walk to get to Brighton. I knew this was going to be a problem. I don't mean getting lost. This is, if you're like me, this is cool. I mean, it doesn't look cool now, does it? But this to me is really cool. This is all part of the fort. I might see if I can find out something about the fort. Again, as always, I've done nothing. But this is all part of the fort. And you can just wander around. Now, I'm supposed to be walking to Brighton to meet people for lunch. And I'm getting caught up walking around and trying to work out what on earth I'm looking at. So that says National Coast Watch, National Coast Guard. I was going to walk along that, but obviously that will really take me out of my way. Beautifully calm English Channel. A couple of boats out there. The lighthouse is going. I don't know whether he always does. And if you can see that, there's the White Cliffs heading off towards Eastbourne. This is my problem. I am going to get totally fascinated by all of this history. I'm never going to make it to Brighton. What's more interesting, an old fort or your son? There's a question. Right, I've barely gone 20 yards and I've got sidetracked again. So, Castle Hill through the ages. This is what Castle Hill might have looked like during the Iron Age. And I can't help but think that this little round thing, how much would blonde bearded man have really liked to have kitted out his old village with one of those bad boys? That would have kept the marauders away, wouldn't it? But they just said straw huts and pigs by the look of it. I feel like Julia Bradbury now. I'm on the proper coastal path, so we're up really high. I guess one of the necessities of the fort was on top of the cliff, so you had to climb up, as you could tell from my wheezing when I was talking to you a moment ago, quite high, and we are up high. Now there's a point, I don't know, I'm going to say about halfway, that I'm really looking forward to. It looks absolutely spectacular. So I can't wait to get there. But for the moment, we are on a pretty muddy but perfectly okay path on the cliff edge. This seems to be a caravan park, maybe permanent caravan park. And then there's the cliff, look at that. So, I was walking along and I wasn't really paying attention because I was looking at my phone, because I was trying to figure out where I was in relation to the bit that I was just talking about. And then I turned around and went, whoa. Are they live cables? And look at that. And it is properly falling apart here. So how long before are they going to force the path? There's a chap down there. Are they going to force the path to go further away from the cliff edge? I mean, that is absolutely falling away there. That is all going to go in the next big storm. And I know a lot of you will be thinking, well, why is he standing there? What a moron. But as I've said before, this kind of thing just doesn't scare me in the slightest. I just find it absolutely fascinating. But even I think I'm too close to the edge. That was funny. Look where you're going, kids. Don't look at your phone. Right, I've been going 3 miles, been walking an hour. That is Brighton. It's my first sighting of Brighton. I must be the highest man in the world at the moment, based on how puffed I am and how sweaty I am. And I'm aiming to go down on that path down there. So I'm getting to the bit that I've built up as being absolutely spectacular. Let's see if I'm right. And again, look at this. I don't know if I've already said, you go past these yellow signs, yellow diamond signs with a picture of a chap falling to his doom, and you look at it and think, yeah, how bad can it be? I've been the only person on this path. There's another path, I mean, there's another caravan park, there's another path over there. Everybody else I've seen has been on the other path. I am the only person I've seen so far to be on this path. And I'm beginning to see why. Right, have I built it up too much? We are at spectacular. Have I built it up too much? This is the way down. I don't know if we can see this from here. These are the stairs that take us down to the footpath that goes all the way into Brighton. So this is what I'm going to do now. But I've just had a message from son number 2 saying he's not well, his girlfriend's not well. So I think our day is changing. So I haven't checked where these people are and the fact that they live at the top of the Cliffs of Doom. But look at this. How amazing is this? As a way to get down to the sea. Now, I don't know whether that's a very appetising seafront and whether you would want to go in and maybe go for a swim when the tide was in. But I wonder when they built this. I wonder who built this. Obviously chalk is quite soft because people have come down here and sort of cut their names into the... I hope it's their names, I haven't read any of it. If you're reading anything naughty, I apologise. Look at the sea, it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's funny because where I was looking at the top of the cliff, when I said I was looking at my phone and then I looked up and went, way, I'd nearly fallen off. That was very yellow, that was very sandstone. And yet this is clearly chalk. When did that change? I wasn't really paying attention. It's obviously white cliffs going off towards Eastbourne, towards the east. And we know it's white cliffs up at Dover because of Vera. But when does it change? Or am I kidding myself that it was definitely sand where I was walking? And there we are. I mean, that does look quite yellow up there. And then that is what I've just come down. Look at that. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 flights of stairs. It's got to be well over 100 stairs. Absolutely brilliant. I've got to say, when I started the video, I was really worried. When I started the video, I thought it was going to be 12 miles or 11 miles walking along a cliff. Is there going to be anything to see? And you could argue, no, there isn't. It's just a coastline. But I promise you, if you enjoy your walking and you enjoy the sea, it is absolutely spectacular. I'd recommend it for anybody. Google says 4 hours. I guess because of my faffing around, it is going to be 4 hours. I was hoping to do it in 3. But I reckon it's going to be 4 hours because of my oohing and ahhing at the fort. And I don't know what else there's going to be to see as I walk down here. You will fall. God, look at this. Wow. Look at that. Is that a continuation of the cliffs? Is that chalk? And the sea is just wearing it away. So this is interesting. This is largely unchanged. This is still absolutely fascinating. Obviously the sea doing its job. But that big wide promenade back there, I'm now 4 miles in, so I haven't gone very far. And the big wide promenade is increasingly, I don't know what that is. Big wide promenade is getting narrower and narrower. It'd be stupid to say we're claustrophobic because we're in the big wide world. But you really feel these are kind of hanging over you. Now this is incredibly clean, but back there was a lot of debris. I was sort of joking about, fall on you, what are the chances? It was really, really littered with debris. But again, you can see how narrow it's getting. I mean, it's a lovely path after the up and down and precariousness of the cliff path. I can see about 4 people up in the distance, but it's so quiet. It's Monday morning. It's 11 o'clock. Okay, it's not the nicest day. It's December the 29th. It's not warm, it's not sunny, but it's perfectly pleasant. I'll tell you what does annoy me about this country. At the bottom of the stairs was a big yellow triangle diamond with warning stairs and a man falling over. I understand signs like this one coming up. Danger of falling cliffs. Just keep an eye out, and you can see on the ground there's so much debris. I'll give them that one. Keep an eye out, keep an ear out for falling cliffs, because it might hurt. But danger, stairs, you will fall. No, I know what I'm doing with stairs, thank you very much. But again, you can see now, is that from the cliff or is that from the beach? I think that's from the beach, look. Because we're back onto a fairly normal Sussex beach now. There's a little bit of sand there, but it's mostly stones. And I'm guessing on a stormy day, that hasn't come from there. That's come from over there. Now then, come to a bit of a problem. I didn't know this happened. This is the end of the promenade. I thought it went all the way into Brighton, but clearly not. So I think I've got to go back to that slope and back up to the top of the cliff and start walking in towards Brighton on, I assume it's the cliff path. I'm going to have a bit of a plan, but Google lied to me. That's not true, is it? I didn't research well enough. But I was convinced this went all the way into Brighton up to the marina and then in along the front, but evidently not. Now then, we're through Peacehaven, which was horrible. I'm not saying Peacehaven was horrible. Walking was horrible after being on the cliff and at the bottom of the cliff where it was so quiet and so peaceful. And suddenly there's the main road. So I've come a little way from it now. But it was so loud and so busy and so horrible. Nothing against Peacehaven at all. Anyway, we're back on the cliff edge. And that's it, going that way. And there's Peacehaven and all its busyness. and you can see the old fence. All I keep thinking about is Steve McQueen at the moment. So we've got the old fence, and that's been moved back clearly because it got too close, and where that crow's sat you can see it goes kind of off, so the cliff has obviously collapsed. And we have the new fence, so we're secure on this part. We're still quite close. Look at him. We're still quite close, but we are safe because of the chicken wire fence. Now, what got me about this, and I think I'm just coming up to it, I'm fascinated by this now. I got excited and then I thought, oh, hold on a minute. I just noticed on Google, I'll be honest, I was looking for a shop, but I noticed on Google there's something that says the Greenwich Meridian Monument. And I instantly thought, well, that's cool. That's really cool. Greenwich Meridian Monument. And the more I think about it now, the more I think, how on earth? I know the lines wiggle woggle in different places, sort of at the international date line. That kind of variates as it goes around Japan and Fiji and places like that. But surely the Greenwich line is straight. And we're 50 or 60 miles west of London, aren't we? So what on earth is that? And it looks like I'm going to be joined by a bunch of cyclists. So we'll go over and have a look in a moment. This must be epic on a mountain bike. Lucky devils. Wish I had a bike. Anyway, this is... I'll see if there's any words or anything around it, because it just doesn't make sense to me at all. It's a weather vane to mark 50 years, so I'm guessing it went up in 95. And that looks like, I think that's Saltdean, and then we can get back down to a much busier promenade, which then goes into Brighton, which is where I'm going to head now. So, Saltdean, centre of the universe by the look of things. Toilets there. That's all I ever need in anywhere these days. So there's a couple of ladies out there. I don't know, as always, you can't tell on the camera. I can't see what you can see until I actually upload it. But there's a couple of ladies swimming out there. And then it's the King Charles III coast path, so it's dedicated to good old Charlie. So, beach huts. They look like they're used, they're all padlocked up. Beach huts, more signs about how you'll die. Keep off the groins. Ladies swimming. They don't care. Good for them. We're 8 miles in. I've just stopped at a cafe called Molly's, which was really lovely. I had a bit of banana cake and a can of Dr. Pepper, the breakfast of champions. I'd say I'm 8 miles in. I reckon I've got about 5 to go, 4 to go, 12 miles. But Molly's is highly recommended.
And then you roll it.
This feels like one of those Benny Hill sketches when he was being chased. And every time it cut back to Benny Hill, he was always the same distance away. And that's how it feels to me. Every time I try and see Brighton on the horizon, it's always the same distance away. We're at Brighton Marina, which looks absolutely gorgeous. I'll never be able to afford to live here. It looks really lovely. Still got the white cliffs. But there's no sign of Brighton. I'm sure my legs are moving, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. So just walk through that. It's ever so weird. You were walking along the cliff and then all of a sudden you were in the concrete jungle and outside an Asda, massive car park, big flyover. Didn't have a clue where I was, kind of knew that the sea was there, and it is, but it was ever so strange for a moment. I had no idea that was coming. And then you pass under a bridge and there is Brighton, which still looks as far away as it did 10 minutes ago, but I think we might be making progress. Anyway, I guess this is Brighton now. This bit is really interesting. We're on a bit of a boardwalk. There is a railway line right there. I don't know if you can see that. There's a railway line right there. There's a man ahead of me walking like the Fonz, and then every now and again stopping and playing golf shots, which is interesting. It's always good to know there's somebody weirder than you when you're walking along. And Brighton still looks just as far away. Now then, I very nearly took this bit of the video out. It's not the most exciting, but I decided to leave it in because it's our first sight of what I would call proper Brighton. We've got the beach, we're on the promenade, there's the pier. I do start going on and on about the zip line in a moment, and then we've got the proper kind of front up there. So I thought I'd leave it in, but I couldn't subject you to the ramblings of a madman, which is what I heard when I was listening back a moment ago. So just to summarise, it was 12.5 miles. It was Newhaven to Brighton Centre. 12.5 mile walk. It took me about 3 hours 40 moving time, just over 4 hours with all the faffing around and stopping at the cafe and having my drink and whatnot. But if you like walking along the coast, I can't recommend it enough. Nobody on it at the moment. There's the pier and there's the zip wire. There isn't anybody on it. Anyway, we're in Brighton. I've made it. My legs are about to drop off. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.